International Monetary Fund. Time to rethink global financial policy? In the interview, the IMF's Managing Director, Christine Lagarde.
Madame Lagarde, by all means, the old German Chancellor is also the new German Chancellor, Angela Merkel. You've not always been on the same page economic policy-wise. So as the head of the IMF, is it a good thing that she was re-elected or not?
Well, first of all, I don't think that she's an old Chancellor. I think she's a very bright, energetic and vibrant Chancellor, and I'm very pleased that she was re-elected. It's great to have a woman actually at the helm. Now, this is probably politically incorrect, but I think that she brings a lot to the economic stability of the region. And you're right, we have not always been in agreement about economic policies.
Well, and you are asking, for example, for a fiscal union down the road for Europe. That's something that seems absolutely impossible with Merkel at the moment. So there must be some apprehension on your part, right?
Well, it depends how long the road is, because just as, you know, a year ago, advocating banking union sounded a bit like heresy, the situation has changed. And there is clearly a desire to move towards union and to implement banking union with the appropriate steps, with the appropriate asset balance sheet review, with the stress testing, with the common backstop, and with all the equipment of a proper banking union. I think in the same vein, there has been a lot more fiscal integration decided amongst the European partners in the eurozone. And whether it's the six-pack or the two-pack directives that both bring more discipline, more attention to many economic parameters of each and every member, that is taking them towards more fiscal union. And as you said, down the road.
So you think they're going to come around?
It might very well take place, and we hope that that is the case, because it would significantly complement and improve a monetary zone that is becoming also a banking union, and clearly down the road being a fiscal union would help tremendously.
So basically what you're saying, you think the Germans are going to come around?
You know, in Europe, as the founders of Europe have observed, things happen through crisis. The crisis that the euro area went through has been transformational. There has been a renewed determination to form that eurozone around the currency, around banking union, around better integration of the fiscal policies. I'm sure that the road ahead is going to continue to have bumps and hiccups and difficulties, but there will be a continued journey towards more integration.
Now, of course, an important part of the German policy was austerity. They've been known to be the champions of that when it comes down to European economic policy. There seems to have been a shift there with the IMF, saying that now we have to focus more on growth and less on austerity. Even a year ago, there was sort of an acknowledgement that there was an error in the system in calculating how austerity really works in an economy. Are you the symbol of this change at the IMF?
First of all, I would observe that austerity in your language, in German, means discipline, doesn't it? We've always advocated discipline. When the objectives are set, they have to be respected. What we're also saying is that growth and fiscal policies that results in consolidation are not mutually exclusive. And what we're saying is that it is the pace of fiscal consolidation and the type of measures that are used to consolidate fiscally that need to be tailored in order to privilege growth.
So this is not an acknowledgement that the IMF got it wrong sometimes with the austerity issue before that?
We're never saying that we are always right. Who is ever always right? What we are known for is for acknowledging when we make mistakes. And
like in Greece, for example.
I will tell you where we very publicly acknowledged that we had underestimated certain factors, and that's on the fiscal multiplier effect of combined fiscal consolidation around the euro area, and where we had underestimated the fiscal multiplier. But we also said that even when with the revised fiscal multiplier, we would have designed the program under which Greece has reformed its economy in the same fashion.
Why?
Why?
Why? Because of political pressure?
Look at the numbers. It's very clear that a lot had to be done in terms of upfront fiscal consolidation for a country that was under huge financial pressure from the markets. It required very significant structural reforms, and this is a process through which the country has gone with huge sacrifices. But we're hopefully they're turning the corner. That it's a country that is now in very small, yet in surplus at the moment.
90% of all the loans of the IMF in the past business year went to Europe. Do you feel comfortable, neglecting the rest of the world so much in comparison to Europe, if I may put it that way?
Do you know that the largest number of programs are actually not in Europe, not in the eurozone, but in Africa? So it's not a question of feeling bad or feeling guilty. We have to help and we have to serve the membership wherever there is a need. And that's what we've been doing after the Second World War in Europe. That's what we've been doing in Central and Eastern Europe after the Iron Curtain came down. We've been helping Latin America when it needed it. We've been helping Asia when it needed it. It's our mission to help countries that are in difficulties wherever they are and whatever they are.
But I'm sure, 90% is something you say, okay, this is a one-time thing and we really have to change that, or am I wrong?
It may well be that, a few years down the road, in a couple of decades, we have to focus all our energies and resources on a particular region of the world. That's, the nature of our mission.
But you do understand, there are a lot of voices from countries where they have developing economies who say, that's just unfair, we're not being treated the same way as Europe. Do you understand that position?
They don't need the support at the moment, but what the entire world
Egypt says it needs support, for example, right now.
What the entire world needs is stability. If you have a big chunk of the global economy that is in disarray and that is not being supported and that where stability is not restored, it's hardship for everybody.
Well, Egypt, for example, would be an example. In spite of the political difficulties, obviously that's a country that would be in dire need of help, and the IMF so far has not given any loans. Where are we there?
What is absolutely needed for a partnership with the IMF to work is large political support and very strong dedication of the team to actually enforce the discipline and make the reforms that are needed to restore the situation, to restore stability, and to create jobs for the people. As soon as that is there, we are ready to jump. We've worked a lot with the Egyptian people over the last few months, and we will continue to do so, believe me.
Talking about jumping, let's go to this side of the Atlantic. As we record this interview, we do have a government shutdown here in the United States. Would you say that's more on the side of necessary or more on the side of foolish?
I think it's bad news. And if it wasn't bad enough, the discussions currently about the debt ceiling are even worse and could have very, very damaging effect, not only on the US economy, but on the global economy. So we are very concerned about that potential risk. I have huge trust that this will not happen.
Why do you have that trust with the political constellation as
Because
it is?
I think it's Winston Churchill who said that at the end of the day, the United States find the right solution after having used all the other ones. And I very strongly urge that that happens again.
Does this situation in the US change your outlook for the world economies?
As I said, we are very much hoping that this potential major risk be avoided.
Well, we already have a shutdown, and that already changes things.
Enough wisdom around to actually perceive the nature of this tremendous risk. So we are not changing our outlook, but we're also looking at the spillover effects that such a serious damage would have around the world, because there are economies around the United States that would be hit, and the financial markets could be very, very severely disrupted.
because your outlook is quite positive, actually, right?
It's more complicated than that. There are some good news because the advanced economies seem to have turned the corners, but the emerging market economies have slowed down a bit. So it's mixed, but if you combine it all, to have advanced economies that are representing such a large part of the economy growing finally, and to have a bit of a slowdown of the emerging market probably means a major transition, what I call the great transition, underway at the moment.
So no risk of another meltdown as we had in 2008? Has enough been done? Do you see any signs?
Well, I hope we can avoid that, and I hope that certainly the US authorities and the policymakers will be very attentive to avoid that. You know, it's stabilizing. That great transition is taking place, and the economies are as interconnected as ever. So for a very, very large, the largest economy in the world, it's a big global responsibility to address the issue and resolve it.
In your eyes, what are the big remaining construction sites? What still needs to be done to avoid something like 2008?
Well, you still have a lot of work. We still collectively have a lot of work to do on the financial sector reform, for instance. The financial sector excesses, with the interconnectedness that we had at the time, created the massive crisis that we've gone through in the last 5 years. That needs to be reformed, and that reform needs to be completed. The mission is not yet accomplished.
But you're positive.
Desperately positive, yes.
Madame Lagarde, thank you very much for talking with us.